Admiral Helena Way sat alone in her office aboard Earth's orbital command station. The soft hum of life support systems filled the silence as she stared at the message on her screen. She read it for the 5th time, still not fully believing what it said. After nearly 100 years of being ignored, humanity had finally received an invitation from the Galactic Concordat. They wanted Earth to join the Grand Armada Exposition, a huge event where all spacefaring species showed off their military, ships and weapons. Helena's lips formed a tight line as she caught the hidden insult in the message. The aliens had called humans a quaint species who might learn valuable lessons by observing truly advanced civilizations. The meaning was clear. They expected humans to feel shame when comparing Earth's primitive technology to the wonders of older alien races. "Computer, call General Rodriguez," Helena said, leaning back in her chair. A moment later, the weathered face of Earth's defense chief appeared on her screen. "I'm guessing you got the same message I did," he said, not bothering with a greeting. "Yes. They're finally inviting us to their special club, just so they can laugh at us." Helena pushed a strand of gray hair behind her ear. "They think we're going to show up with our diplomatic vessels and embarrass ourselves." Rodriguez smiled, but there was no humor in it. "They've never bothered to check what's hiding in the asteroid belt, have they? Their surveillance satellites never go past Mars. They've assumed we're confined to Earth and our few colonies." Helena tapped her desk thoughtfully. "They have no idea what we built during those first decades after first contact when we thought alien invasion was coming any day. The mothball fleet," Rodriguez nodded. 500 warships gathering dust. Not pretty, not elegant, but effective, Helena finished. "Exactly the opposite of what they'll expect from us." Helena stood and walked to the viewport. Earth hung below, beautiful and blue. For a century, humanity had been treated as the galaxy's backward cousins, allowed to attend meetings but never truly respected. "Send the acceptance," she said finally, "and begin waking up the old fleet, quietly. The crews won't be happy about piloting those old rust buckets," Rodriguez warned. "They will when they see the aliens' faces." Helena smiled. "The Concordat thinks they're inviting us to be humiliated. Instead, they're giving us exactly the chance we've been waiting for." Rodriguez saluted. "I'll start the preparations. Which ships should we bring?" Helena thought for a moment. "All of them," she said firmly. "It's time the galaxy learned that judging a species by its public face is a dangerous mistake." After the call ended, Helena remained at the viewport, thinking about the fleet hidden in the shadows of the asteroid belt, ships built when humanity feared the worst from the stars. Massive, heavily armored vessels designed for a war that never came. "Let them underestimate us," she whispered to herself. "One last time." She pressed a button on her desk, opening a channel to all Earth's military commands. "This is Admiral Way. Operation Revelation is now active. I repeat, Operation Revelation is now active. It's time to show the galaxy who we really are." Throughout the solar system, in hidden bases and secret docks, lights began to come on in ships that had slept for decades. Humanity's true fleet was awakening, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming. Chief Engineer Marcus Okonkwo floated, in zero gravity inside the massive hangar hidden within Ceres, the largest asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. His breath made small clouds in the cold air. The lights were slowly coming on, revealing row after row of enormous warships. "Power systems online," called out his assistant, Maya. "Life support activating in all vessels." Marcus nodded and pushed himself toward the nearest ship. The name Thermopylae was painted on its dark hull in faded letters. This was no sleek, shiny diplomatic vessel. It was a monster, angular, heavily armored, and bristling with weapon systems that most alien species had abandoned centuries ago. "Hello, old friend," Marcus whispered as he touched the cold metal. "Time to wake up." Inside the ship, systems that had been dormant for decades hummed to life. The ship's AI activated, its voice echoing through empty corridors. Chief Engineer Okonkwo detected, "Good morning, Marcus. Ship status operational but requiring maintenance. It has been 27 years since my last activation. The AI's voice, called April, sounded almost human. We don't have much time for maintenance, April, Marcus said as he pulled himself into the main engineering section. The fleet launches in 3 days. That is insufficient time to reach optimal performance, April replied. Marcus laughed as he began checking systems. We don't need optimal. We just need to fly and look scary. April's voice took on a concerned tone. My tactical systems indicate we are not scheduled for war games. What is our mission? Marcus connected, his tablet to the main computer. We're going to a party, April. The Galactic Concordat has finally invited us to their big fleet show. Ah, the Grand Armada Exposition. April processed this. They will mock these vessels. My design is considered obsolete by current galactic standards. Marcus smiled as he worked. That's exactly what we're counting on. Throughout the asteroid belt, the same scene was playing out. Engineers woke up ancient warships, testing weapons that fired physical projectiles instead of energy beams, checking armor plating instead of energy shields. In the command center, Captain Layla Harrington studied the fleet roster. 500 ships in total, dreadnoughts, carriers, cruisers, and destroyers. None of them beautiful, all of them deadly. Will they be ready in time? She asked Marcus, over the comm. They'll fly, he replied, wiping grease from his hands. The question is, are the crews ready? Most of our people have never piloted anything but the modern diplomatic ships. Layla watched as shuttles brought in crews, young officers and engineers who had only seen these old warships in historical records. Admiral Wei is sending the best we have. They've been training in simulators for months, ever since we first applied to join the exposition. Marcus raised an eyebrow. You mean the Admiral planned this all along? Let's just say she's been waiting for the right moment, Layla replied. The aliens think they're inviting us to be embarrassed. They have no idea what's coming. As they spoke, a massive hangar door began to slide open for the first time in decades, revealing the stars beyond. The Thermopylae's engines glowed with building power. Test firing main drives, Marcus announced. The ancient ship shuddered, then lifted, slightly in its docking clamps. Dust that had settled for years scattered in the engine wash. Still got some kick in you, old girl. Marcus patted the console fondly. Across the command channel, reports came in from other ships. One by one, the forgotten fleet was coming back to life. All ships report ready for final preparations, Layla said. The fleet will rendezvous at Mars orbit in 48 hours. Marcus looked out at the other awakening vessels. They're not pretty, but they'll get the job done. They don't need to be pretty, Layla replied. They just need to make a statement, and what a statement they would make. Captain Layla Harrington stood tall as their small diplomatic shuttle approached the exposition grounds. Through the view screen, she saw a massive ring-shaped space station orbiting a neutron star. The artificial world glowed with countless lights, each representing a different alien civilization. Quite a sight, isn't it? Dr. Sanjay Mehta said, standing beside her. As Earth's lead physicist, he would represent humanity during the technical presentations. Layla nodded. 200 spacefaring species in one place, and most of them think we're primitives who barely figured out how to leave our own solar system. Their shuttle, the Emissary, was small and plain compared to the other vessels arriving. Alien ships glittered with crystalline hulls or pulsed with exotic energies. Some seemed to bend light around them, while others appeared to be made of living material. Human vessel Emissary, you are cleared for docking at Bay 94, came the voice of the traffic controller. Please follow the guidance. Beam. As their shuttle moved toward the assigned bay, Layla noticed how many alien eyes tracked their path, not with respect but with curiosity, the kind reserved for unusual but insignificant creatures. They're all watching us, she said quietly. Sanjay smiled. Just wait until tomorrow. Then they'll really have something to stare at. The shuttle docked with a gentle bump. Layla straightened her uniform and addressed the small human delegation. Remember your training. Be polite, be humble, but give away nothing about tomorrow's unveiling. As far as anyone knows, this shuttle is all we brought." The airlock cycled open, and they stepped into the massive docking bay. The air smelled strange, a mix of various atmospheres adjusted to accommodate all life forms. Hundreds of aliens moved about, their forms ranging from nearly human to completely bizarre. Almost immediately, a floating collection of glowing tendrils approached them. This was Ambassador Zoril of the Vexari, one of the oldest species in the Concordat. "Welcome, humans." The Vexari's voice came from a translation device. "We were beginning to wonder if Earth would even show up to the exposition." The tendrils pulsed with light patterns that Layla recognized as amusement. It wasn't trying to hide its condescension. "Thank you for the welcome, Ambassador," Layla replied with a polite smile. "We wouldn't miss this opportunity." "Indeed." The Vexari floated closer. "And where is your fleet? We only detect this single shuttle." Several nearby aliens paused to listen, already enjoying what they expected would be an embarrassing moment for the humans. Layla maintained her composure. "Admiral Wei sends her regards. The human fleet is preparing for a special entrance tomorrow." "Special entrance?" The ambassador's tendrils flickered with what might have been skepticism. "How interesting. We look forward to it." As the Vexari drifted away, Layla heard unmistakable sounds of amusement from the gathered aliens. Across the vast docking bay, delegates exchanged glances, already relishing the coming embarrassment of the primitive humans. Dr. Maida leaned close to her ear. "They think we're bluffing." "Good," Layla whispered back. "The bigger their surprise, tomorrow the better." A small hovering drone approached, its lights blinking. "Human delegation, I will guide you to your quarters. The opening ceremony begins in 3 hours." As they followed the drone through the station, Layla noticed alien representatives from every corner of the galaxy. Some floated in containment fields, others moved on multiple legs or tendrils, and some seemed to shift between solid and gaseous states. "The Draconid Emperor himself is here," Sanjay noted, pointing to a large group of reptilian beings surrounded by guards. "That's the head of the Concordat Security Council," Layla nodded. "Perfect. I want them all to have front row seats tomorrow." She touched the hidden communicator in her collar. "Captain Harrington to Admiral Wei. We've arrived safely. The stage is set." Admiral Wei's voice came through clearly. "Excellent. The fleet is in position waiting for your signal. Are they underestimating us as expected?" Layla looked back at the aliens still watching them with amused curiosity. "Completely, Admiral. They have no idea what's coming." The main presentation hall of the exposition was enormous. Thousands of seats surrounded a central stage where each species would showcase their technology. The human delegation sat quietly in their assigned section, which was notably far from the important central areas. Dr. Sanjay Maida adjusted the recording device on his wrist as the first presentation began. A tall, blue-skinned alien took the stage. "The Allurian Collective presents our newest defense system," the alien announced. With a wave of 4 long arms, a hologram appeared above the stage. It showed a sleek, beautiful ship, surrounded by a bubble of shifting energy. In the demonstration, powerful weapons fired at the ship, but the energy field absorbed everything. "Our phase shift barriers can predict attacks before they happen," the presenter said proudly. "No physical or energy weapon can penetrate them." The audience applauded. Captain Layla Harrington glanced at Sanjay, who was recording every detail. "Impressive?" she whispered. Sanjay nodded. "Very, but it has a weakness. Look at the power requirements." Hour after hour, species after species displayed their advanced technology. Ships that could bend space-time, weapons that could tear apart matter, defensive systems that seemed impossible to defeat. Each time, the human delegation watched carefully, noting every detail. Each time, they appeared suitably impressed and slightly overwhelmed. "The Draconid Empire presents our quantum disruptor array," announced a large reptilian alien with gleaming scales. The hologram showed a massive warship firing beams of strange, shifting light. In the demonstration, these beams passed through all defenses as if they weren't there. No material in known space can resist quantum disruption, the Draconid said, looking directly at the human section. Some species still rely on physical armor. How quaint. Several aliens laughed politely at the obvious reference to humans. During a short break, Layla and her team gathered in a quiet corner. They keep showing off technology specifically designed to counter physical ships like ours, Lieutenant Chen observed. It's like they're deliberately trying to intimidate us. They've been scanning our diplomatic vessels for years, Sanjay replied. They think they know exactly what we have. As they spoke, a shadow fell over their group. The Draconid Emperor himself stood before them, towering at nearly 8 feet tall. His guards formed a circle around the humans. Earth representatives, the Emperor said, his voice deep and rumbling. I hope you are enjoying the presentations. Layla bowed respectfully. Very much, Your Majesty. We're learning a great deal. The Emperor's scaled lips pulled back in what might have been a smile. We've heard rumors of your unique approach to spacefaring technology. His clawed hand made a dismissive gesture. We look forward to seeing how a species that only achieved faster-than-light travel a century ago defends itself. As the Emperor walked away, his guards clicked their teeth in what the humans recognized as laughter. Layla maintained her diplomatic smile until they were alone again. Then she touched her hidden communicator. They've taken the bait, Admiral. Complete underestimation achieved. Admiral Wei's voice came through clearly. Perfect. All ships are in position and ready. Tomorrow they'll learn that appearances can be deceiving. Sanjay looked at the data he had collected. They've shown us everything they have. Every strength. And every weakness, Layla finished. That evening, as the human delegation returned to their quarters, alien representatives watched them with barely hidden amusement. Let them laugh now, Layla thought. Tomorrow would be very different. In the darkness of space, hidden behind a nearby moon, 500 human warships waited, silently for the signal to appear. The second day of the exposition brought the moment everyone had been waiting for. The massive central arena had been transformed into a viewing theater. A huge screen showed empty space, the designated area where each civilization would summon their fleet. Captain Layla Harrington and the human delegation took their seats. She noticed they had more space around them than yesterday. Other species seemed to be keeping their distance, not wanting to be too close to the humans during their expected moment of shame. The master of ceremonies, a tall being with silvery skin, floated to the center of the arena. We have seen the technological marvels that protect our peaceful galaxy, he announced. Now each member and guest of the Concordat will present their defensive fleets. One by one, alien civilizations summoned their warships. The Vexari brought 20 ships that looked like glowing clouds of energy. The Draconids displayed 50 vessels with weapons that could tear apart moons. Each fleet was met with appropriate applause and respect. Finally, the master of ceremonies gestured grandly toward the human section. And now, representing Sol System, Earth's contribution to the Grand Armada. His voice contained barely hidden mockery. The giant screen showed empty space at the coordinates where the human fleet should appear. For 3 long seconds, nothing happened. The silence in the arena grew uncomfortable. Some aliens began to whisper. Others started to chuckle. Many were looking at the human delegation with pity or amusement. The Vexari ambassador's tendrils flickered with light patterns of laughter. Perhaps they forgot to fuel their ships, he said loudly enough for many to hear. Then simultaneously over 500 jump points tore open the fabric of space on the screen. The laughter died instantly. A collective gasp rose from the audience. Ship after ship emerged from the jump points. They weren't sleek or beautiful, like the alien vessels. The human ships were massive, angular, and covered with what appeared to be primitive armor plating. They bristled with what looked like physical weapon systems, Railguns, missile launchers, and point defense turrets. They looked brutish, functional, and completely unlike anything else at the exposition. The arena fell silent as more and more ships continued to appear. Dreadnoughts, carriers, cruisers, destroyers. A seemingly endless array of warships filled the screen. "By the void," whispered the Arcturian ambassador from his seat near the humans. "How many are there?" Admiral Wei's voice suddenly boomed through the arena's communication system. Her face appeared on a smaller screen beside the fleet display. "The Galactic Concordat has graciously invited Earth to showcase our defensive capabilities. What you see before you is the Third Fleet of the United Earth Defense Force." She paused, letting her words sink in. "The First and Second Fleets send their regrets, as they're currently on patrol duty in our home system." The implication was clear. This was only a third of what humanity could deploy. Layla watched as the alien representatives turned to stare at the human delegation with new eyes. Gone was the mockery. In its place was shock, confusion, and in many cases, the beginning of fear. The Draconid Emperor himself stood up, his scales flaring with alarm. "This is impossible," he rumbled. "Our intelligence indicated—" "Your intelligence saw what we allowed it to see," Layla replied quietly, but in the silent arena, her words carried. On the screen, the massive human fleet formed into an ordered battle formation. The ships might look primitive, but their movements were precisely coordinated. Whatever these vessels lacked in beauty, they made up for in numbers and obvious firepower. The master of ceremonies struggled to regain his composure. "This is unexpected. Would Earth care to explain the nature of their fleet?" Admiral Wei smiled from the screen. "With pleasure. Let the technical briefing begin." Chaos erupted among the alien delegations. Military experts who had been sitting quietly now rushed to analyze the human fleet. Sensors throughout the arena worked to gather data on the strange vessels that had appeared. Dr. Sanjay Mehta stood calmly at the center of the human section, answering the technical questions that were now being shouted at him from all directions. "What kind of weapons are those? Why so much physical armor? How did you build so many ships without our knowledge?" The hive mind tacticians of Rigel VI pushed their way through the crowd. These insect-like beings were known as the best military analysts in the galaxy. Their 6 eyes scanned the fleet data with remarkable speed. Silence. Their spokesmind raised all 4 arms. "We have completed our initial analysis." The arena quieted as everyone turned to hear their assessment. "The humans have been on a completely different technological path," the spokesmind announced, its voice betraying growing alarm. "While we developed energy weapons and shields, they perfected kinetic weapons." On the main screen, the image zoomed in on one of the human dreadnoughts. The vessel's main guns were highlighted. "These are mass drivers," the spokesmind explained. "They fire physical projectiles at significant percentages of light speed. Our standard shields are designed to stop energy weapons, not physical objects moving at such velocities." A murmur ran through the crowd. The Vexari ambassador's tendrils twisted in what appeared to be distress. "Surely our phase shift barriers can—" "No," the spokesmind interrupted. "Phase shift technology works by detecting energy buildups before weapons fire. These human weapons have no energy signature until the moment they fire. By then it is too late to shift phases." The Draconid Emperor hissed softly. "And the armor? Our quantum disruptors can penetrate any material." The spokesmind's antennae twitched. "Their armor is layered and compartmentalized. Your disruptors would damage sections, yes, but the ships would remain functional. They are designed with redundant systems throughout." Captain Harrington watched the growing consternation with satisfaction. She caught the eye of the Arcturian ambassador, who was staring at her with new respect. "Captain," he said quietly, "your ships aren't beautiful because they're designed with brutal pragmatism, aren't they? They're built to take hits and keep fighting." Layla nodded. "Form follows function, Ambassador. In space combat, being pretty isn't a priority." On the main screen, Admiral Wei was explaining the fleet's capabilities to the stunned Concordat officials. Our vessels may appear primitive by your standards, she said, but they're effective. We built them to protect Earth, not to win beauty contests. The Draconid Emperor moved to stand before the human delegation. His earlier mockery was gone. How many? He asked simply. How many what, Your Majesty? Layla replied. How many ships does Earth possess in total? Layla smiled politely. That information remains classified, Your Majesty. But as Admiral Wei mentioned, this is only our third fleet. The implication hung in the air. If this was truly only a third of humanity's military might, then they possessed a force larger than many of the major powers in the Concordat combined. Dr. Mehta touched his communication device. Admiral, they're processing the information as expected. Initial shock is turning to strategic reassessment. Wei's voice came through clearly. Good. Prepare for Phase 2. It's time for the demonstration. Mehta nodded and turned to the Master of Ceremonies. The Earth delegation requests permission to demonstrate our fleet's capabilities. The Master looked nervously at the Concordat Security Council. After a brief discussion, they nodded. Permission granted, the Master announced. The human demonstration will begin in 1 hour. Throughout the arena, alien representatives were frantically communicating with their home worlds. The galaxy's understanding of humanity was being rewritten before their eyes, and they hadn't seen anything yet. Admiral Helena Wei stood on the bridge of the UES Thermopylae, her hands clasped behind her back. Around her, the crew worked at their stations with focused precision. Through the view screen, she could see the test range that had been prepared. Field of asteroids at a safe distance from the exposition station. All systems are ready, Admiral, reported her weapons officer, Lieutenant Jackson. The fleet awaits your orders. Wei nodded. The Concordat has requested a small demonstration of our capabilities. She allowed herself a slight smile. Let's show them maneuver Echo 7. Reduced yield, of course. Yes, Admiral, transmitting orders to the fleet now. Throughout the 500 ships, crews that had trained for years but never seen actual combat prepared their systems. Massive railguns charged with electrical power. Point defense turrets swiveled into position. On the carrier vessels, bay doors opened to reveal swarms of semi-autonomous drones. In the observation lounge of the exposition station, the gathered representatives of 200 species watched in tense silence. Captain Harrington stood with the human delegation, feeling the eyes of the galaxy upon them. Beginning demonstration in 3, 2, 1, Wei's voice announced over the comm system. What followed was a precisely choreographed ballet of destruction. The first wave of human ships fired their main guns. Huge metal projectiles accelerated to near-light speed, streaked across space. When they hit the target asteroids, the impacts were spectacular. Rocks the size of small moons shattered instantly. Kinetic energy weapons, Dr. Mehta explained to the stunned aliens around him. No fancy energy beams, just mass and velocity. Next, the carrier vessels released their drones, thousands of small, unmanned craft that moved in perfect formation. They surrounded a large asteroid, then suddenly all fired at once. The asteroid didn't just break, it vaporized. Swarm tactics, Mehta continued. Overwhelming force from multiple directions. The aliens watched in silence as the human fleet demonstrated one capability after another. Electronic warfare suites temporarily blinded the exposition's sensors. Defensive formations shifted with unexpected speed for vessels so large. Then came the moment that shocked even the oldest species present. A single human capital ship, the Thermopylae itself, suddenly vanished from its position. A collective gasp rose from the audience. An instant later, the massive warship reappeared behind the test range. Tactical FTL jump, Mehta said into the silence. Short range, precise, faster than light movement. The Draconid Emperor turned to him, scales pale with shock. That's physically impossible. The energy requirements alone would... We found a different solution, Mehta replied simply. From its new position, The Thermopylae launched a spread of missiles. These weapons didn't travel in straight lines. They jumped in and out of space, approaching their targets from multiple directions simultaneously. The remaining asteroids in the test range disappeared in a series of perfectly timed explosions. In the observation lounge, an ancient Trilaxian seer turned its eye stalks toward the human ambassador. This being was said to be over 1,000 years old. "You've been preparing for war all this time?" the seer asked, its voice a whisper. Captain Harrington looked at the alien calmly. "No, honored seer. We've been preparing for survival." As the demonstration ended, the human fleet reformed into its original formation. The bridge of the Thermopylae appeared on the main screen. Admiral Way stood at attention. "The United Earth? Defense Force thanks the Galactic Concordat for this opportunity to share our capabilities," she said formally. "We stand ready to answer any questions." But for several long moments, no one in the observation lounge could speak. The galaxy's understanding of humanity had been completely rewritten in less than an hour, and there were still more surprises to come. The diplomatic reception that evening was unlike anything the human delegation had expected. Instead of being ignored in a corner, they now stood at the center of attention. Aliens of all forms approached them, asking questions and offering respectful greetings. Dr. Sanjay Mehta found himself surrounded by a group of alien scientists. The Kelthoran chief researcher, a tall being with blue crystal-like skin, leaned forward. "Why would you develop such direct weapons systems?" she demanded. "The rest of the galaxy moved beyond physical projectiles thousands of years ago." Mehta sighed. The time for secrets was over. "Because we thought we were alone." He gestured for them to sit, and the alien scientists gathered around him. "When humans first reached beyond our world, we found dangerous wildlife on our colony planets. Then we detected signals from distant civilizations, your civilizations. But you didn't answer our calls." The Kelthoran's crystals dimmed slightly in what might have been embarrassment. "Your signals were primitive. Many species assumed they were natural phenomena." Mehta nodded. "So Earth prepared for the worst. We built these ships when we feared what might come from the stars. By the time we made official contact and realized most species were peaceful, we had already created an armada designed to fight gods." Across the room, Admiral Way was having a similar conversation with the Concordat Security Council. The Draconid Emperor towered over her, but his posture was no longer threatening. It was cautious. "You've been hiding your true capabilities," he accused, though his voice lacked its earlier arrogance. Way shook her head. "No, you simply never asked. You saw our diplomatic vessels and assumed that's all we had. Why maintain such a large fleet if you knew we were peaceful?" asked a Vexari representative, tendrils moving slowly. "History," Way answered simply. "Humans have a saying: hope for peace, prepare for war. We hoped to join your peaceful community, but we prepared in case that wasn't possible." The Arcturian ambassador joined them, his crystalline form catching the light. "Your fleet is impressive, but surely you understand how this revelation might concern the Concordat." Way looked him directly in his faceted eyes. "If we wanted conflict, Ambassador, would we have revealed our fleet in this way? We could have kept our secrets." In another part of the room, Captain Harrington spoke with representatives from smaller worlds, planets that often lived in fear of the larger powers. "Your ships could protect trading routes from pirates," said the Tellarite representative, her fur rippling with excitement. "The major powers focus their protection on their own interests." Layla nodded carefully. "That would be a matter for diplomatic discussion." As the evening continued, the mood slowly changed. The initial fear gave way to cautious respect, then to genuine curiosity. The humans found themselves fielding questions about Earth's history, culture, and technological development. The Trilaxian seer approached Admiral Way as the reception was ending. Its ancient eyes studied her face. "I have lived long enough to see many species join the galactic community," it said slowly. "Some arrive in peace, others in conquest, but I have never seen a species arrive as you have, powerful enough for war yet choosing peace." Way smiled slightly. What choice would you have made in our position, honored seer? The ancient being considered this. Perhaps the same. After all, the universe is vast and unknown. Preparation is wisdom, not aggression. As the human delegation prepared to return to their quarters, the Master of Ceremonies announced, "Tomorrow's session will feature Earth's complete technical briefing. All delegations are strongly encouraged to attend." Dr. Mehta caught Admiral Wei's eye across the room and nodded slightly. Phase 2 of humanity's plan was about to begin. The fleet had caught their attention. Now it was time for the real surprise. The central auditorium was packed the next morning. Representatives from every species had come to hear Earth's technical briefing. The mood was different today. No mockery, only intense curiosity and a touch of fear. Chief Engineer Marcus Okonkwo stood on the stage looking calm despite the thousands of alien eyes fixed on him. Behind him, detailed holograms showed the inner workings of the human fleet. "Thank you for your interest in Earth's defensive capabilities," he began. "Today I will share something unexpected, the fatal flaws in our military design." A surprised murmur ran through the audience. This was not what anyone had expected. Marcus gestured, and the hologram zoomed in on the armor plating of a human dreadnought. "Our ships are heavily armored, yes, but this armor cannot withstand a direct hit from quantum disruptors." He nodded respectfully toward the Draconid section. "Your weapons would cut through these sections easily." The Draconid Emperor leaned forward, confusion visible on his scaled face. Marcus continued, highlighting different aspects of the human vessels. "Our kinetic weapons are powerful but cannot penetrate phase-shifted shields." He looked at the Vexari delegation. "Your defensive technology would render our main guns useless." For the next 30 minutes, Marcus methodically exposed every weakness in humanity's fleet. He explained how their electronic systems could be overloaded, how their tactical FTL drives had severe limitations, how their power cores could be destabilized. "In short," he concluded, "we built our fleet to fight enemies that don't exist. We prepared for threats based on our own technology, not yours." The auditorium was silent. No one had expected humans to voluntarily expose their vulnerabilities. "Why are you telling us this?" asked the Arcturian ambassador finally. Marcus smiled. "Because what you've seen is our past. Ships built from fear and isolation." He stepped aside as Captain Layla Harrington took the stage. Behind her, the hologram changed to show new designs, ships that looked nothing like the human vessels from yesterday. "We didn't come here just to show you our obsolete fleet," she said clearly. "We came to propose a new path forward." The hologram expanded, showing detailed blueprints of hybrid vessels. They combined the brutal functionality of human design with the elegant efficiency of alien technology. "These are concepts for a galactic defense initiative," Layla explained. "Ships that combine Vexari energy systems, Draconid phase shields, and human structural engineering." She gestured to another design. "Weapons that pair Arcturian precision targeting with human kinetic delivery systems." The aliens stared in Nintendo amazement as design after design appeared, each showing how different technologies could work together in ways no single species had considered. "For a century you've seen us as primitive newcomers," Layla said. "We've seen ourselves as outsiders preparing for the worst." Both perspectives led to isolation, not cooperation. She looked around the room, meeting the eyes of various delegates. "We revealed our fleet not to threaten, but to show that we can contribute. Every species here has technological wonders, and every species has blind spots. What if we combined our strengths instead of competing?" Dr. Mehta joined her on stage with data projections. "Our analysis shows that combined technology could be up to 300% more effective than any single approach." The Draconid Emperor stood slowly. "You're proposing a genuine alliance, not just diplomatic relations, but shared defense technology." Layla nodded. "Earth is ready to share everything we know. All our research, all our designs. In exchange, we ask for the same openness from the Concordat." Throughout the auditorium, delegates were talking urgently with each other. The idea was revolutionary. Species sharing their most protected military secrets. "This," said the ancient Trilaxian seer, "is not what anyone expected from humans." And that had been the plan all along. 6 months after the exposition, Admiral Helena Way stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital shipyard. Below her, a new vessel was taking shape. It looked nothing like the old warships of humanity's isolated past. This ship combined the best elements of 27 different species technologies. The UGS Concordia gleamed in the sunlight. Its hull featured Vexari energy systems, Draconid phase shields, and human structural engineering. The weapons systems paired Arcturian targeting with human delivery systems. The bridge contained communication technology from 5 different worlds. "Quite a sight, isn't it?" said a voice behind her. Wei turned to see the Arcturian ambassador approach, his crystalline form catching the light from Earth below. "The first true galactic vessel," Wei agreed. "Not human, not Arcturian, not Draconid, but something new." All around them, the shipyard buzzed with activity. Engineers from dozens of worlds worked side by side with humans. What had begun as a surprising proposal had quickly become reality. "The commissioning ceremony begins in an hour," the ambassador said. "Representatives from all 27 member species of the Defense Initiative will attend." Wei nodded. In the 6 months since the exposition, the galaxy had changed more than in the previous century. The Galactic Defense Initiative, GDI for short, had gone from concept to reality with surprising speed. "You know," the ambassador's voice became thoughtful, "we truly believed humans were centuries behind us technologically." Wei smiled. "In some ways we were, in others we simply took a different path." The ambassador's crystalline form shimmered, their version of a nod. "And now we walk a new path together." He paused. "Was that your plan all along? This alliance?" Wei watched as the Concordia powered up its engines for a test. The combined technologies created a beautiful blue glow, unlike anything seen before. Let's just say humanity has always understood that sometimes true strength comes from what others perceive as obsolete. Below them, the test was successful. The Concordia's systems were performing beyond all projections. The ship represented something unprecedented, technology that no single species could have created alone. "The old fleet will be retired next month," Wei said. "Those ships served their purpose." "They certainly made an impression," the ambassador replied with a touch of humor. "I've never seen the Draconid Emperor so shocked." The observation deck began to fill with dignitaries arriving for the ceremony. Species that had once viewed each other with suspicion now worked together, sharing knowledge and resources. Captain Harrington approached them wearing the new uniform of the GDI. "Admiral, Ambassador, they're ready to begin the commissioning." As they walked to the ceremony, Wei saw Dr. Mehta deep in conversation with the Kelthoran scientists. "Chief, Engineer Okonkwo was showing a group of young aliens how the new engines worked. The Draconid Emperor himself waited at the airlock of the Concordia, no longer towering over humans but standing as an equal. "Admiral Wei," he rumbled in greeting. "The ship is magnificent." "A true cooperative effort, Your Majesty," she replied. The Emperor's scales shifted in what Wei now recognized as thoughtful reflection. "When your fleet appeared at the exposition, many feared it was the beginning of human domination in the galaxy." Wei shook her head. "Humans never needed to dominate the galaxy. We only needed to be recognized, to have a place at the table." As the ceremony began and the Concordia was officially commissioned as the first vessel of the Galactic Defense Fleet, Wei looked around at the gathered species. The obsolete fleet had opened the door, but what came after was something far more powerful than weapons. Understanding, and that had been worth waiting for.